Welcome back, everyone. As we dive back into Sporcle, you guys seem to really like it when I played it the other day. It's one of our best performing videos in quite a while. So today, it's all about war, and that's why I'm wearing my Union Lieutenant Colonel's uniform today. We're going to take a look at some of the Sporcle quizzes that have to do with war and battles and when they happened and where they happened. And let's see how you can do compared to me. I'll put the link down in the description so that you can go to this playlist of videos that I'll be taking a look at today and try them out for yourself. Let's dive in. Okay, first things first, we're going to go right into my wheelhouse and we're going to do a quiz related to the American Civil War. It's got the dates and the state where they happened, and I've got to guess what the battles are. I'm just warming up. It's 4 minutes to get 20 of these, so we're going to be flying through them, not a lot of time to talk. And I've actually moved my keyboard in front of my microphone so I can type a little easier than I did last time. Here we go. All right, first one, that's Fort Sumter. This is the first Battle of Bull Run. Oh, we got both of them by typing that in. February 6th, that'd be Fort Henry, Tennessee. That'd be Fort Donelson, which both lead right into Shiloh. April 25th, Louisiana, that's got to be New Orleans. September 12th to 15th, 1862 in Maryland, Virginia. So is that South Mountain? No. Oh my gosh. Where? I mean, that's part of the Antietam campaign. If it's not South Mountain, what is Thoroughfare Gap? No. Oh boy. Having a little trouble with that one. All right, we'll come back to that. We're going to do Fredericksburg is next. Then we've got April 30th to May 6th. That is Chancellorsville. Then we have Gettysburg. July 4th, 1863 is the surrender of Vicksburg. It's not the Battle of Vicksburg. The battles were fought in May. July 18th, South Carolina. That's Fort Wagner. That's the 54th Massachusetts in the movie Glory. 18th to the 20th is Chickamauga. May 5th through 7th, that would be the Wilderness, if I can spell. Then we go right into Spotsylvania. July 22nd, 1864 in Georgia. That's the Battle of Atlanta. I'm writing about that in my book. December 15th and 16th, 1864 in Tennessee. That's Franklin. Oh, is this just going to be Nashville? Yeah, okay. April 9th, 1865, that is Appomattox. So what's September 12th to 15th? Oh, this is the Siege of Harper's Ferry. Yeah, I just had to think about that one for a minute. Okay, so that one was pretty easy. Now let's find something a little more difficult. Okay, so this one is battles by year and location. Can you match each battle to the year and location in which it took place? Okay, here we go. Okay, let's go with what I know. Battle of Bosworth Field, that is going to be in England UK 1485. We're going to narrow this down by ones I know. Saratoga, U.S. 1777. Waterloo, that's going to be Belgium 1815. Tet Offensive would be Vietnam 68. Vietnam 54 would be Dien Bien Phu. Do we have that? Yep. Okay, there we go. USA 1876 would be Little Bighorn. UK 1066 is going to be Hastings. There we go. Spain 1805, that's got to be the naval battle, Trafalgar. Okay. Spain 1492. No, I don't know. Because Agincourt will be France in 1415. Germany 9 CE. That's got to be Teutoburg Forest. Disaster for the Romans. Tours is going to be France 732. Afghanistan 2001. That's Tora Bora. I remember that because they had Bin Laden cornered, and everybody was sure he was about to be nailed. Okay, Verdun, that's France 1916. Cuba 1898, San Juan Hill, that's where Theodore Roosevelt leads the charge that eventually gets him the Medal of Honor many decades after his death. Cuba 1961, that is the Bay of Pigs invasion. Okay, now it gets more difficult. Last stand at Grenada's got to be Spain 1492. Greece 480 BC is Thermopylae. Jaffa would be Israel 1192, and we've got 2 left. This should be easy enough. Hansen Island's got to be South Korea. Peru is that one. All right, nice. Okay, the next one, this is a World War I matchup. So fingers crossed, I feel like I should do pretty good on this one. I was in a documentary on the History Channel about World War I. So if I don't do really, really well, it's going to make me kind of look bad here. So we've got 30 guesses remaining. We got 6 minutes. Let's go. Okay. Alsace and Lorraine, that's a fought over between France and Germany. Armistice Day. All right. Austria-Hungary was one of the Central Powers. Black Hand, they were involved in the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Brest-Litovsk is the war that, or the treaty that ends the war between Germany and Russia. Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Ottoman Empire, later Bulgaria. Christmas Truce, yeah. Flanders Fields. So in Flanders Fields is a poem written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who was a Canadian officer, died late in the war of disease, buried in the Ypres salient. 14 points from yours truly. Not this yours truly. I mean, you know what I mean. That guy, he who shall not be named. Franz Ferdinand was assassinated in July of 1914. Gallipoli campaign, yeah. George Clemenceau was leader of France. July crisis. This is the diplomatic crisis between when the assassination happens and when war breaks out. Kaiser Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany. Lost Battalion. No? Interesting. Okay, let's we'll come back to that one. Red Baron, Der Rote, Count Flieger, Manfred von Richthofen, RMS Lusitania, sunk in 1915 by German U-boat off the southern coast of Ireland. The Zimmerman telegram is one of the reasons the U.S. gets into the war. It's a telegram sent by the German foreign minister to the Mexican government, intercepted by the British, offering Mexico concessions in the southwestern United States if they will attack the U.S. if and when the U.S. enters the war on the side of the Entente. Woodrow Wilson, no more needs to be said there. Weimar Republic is the German republic in between World War I and World War II. Trench warfare, we know that has to do with the war. Tsar Nicholas II, Emperor of Russia. Philippe Pétain is one of the French generals who wins great success and then blows it all by siding with the Germans in World War II and gets sentenced to death, but it's commuted to life in prison because he's an old man. Victor Emmanuel III, King of Italy. Triple Entente is the British, the French, the Russians. Ottoman Empire. Sultan Mehmed V of the Ottoman Empire. Mata Hari she's a spy. She gets executed. Mustard gas is one of the last forms of poison gas to be used on the battlefield. A lost generation because so many people died. And then October Revolution happens in Russia. Excellent. All right, cool. All right, this one should be interesting. Defeated in battle, can you identify the country, empire, or other entity that was on the losing side in each historic battle in the following sets of 3? This could be really anything. There's 20 questions, 6 minutes. Here we go. All right, Inkerman, Tsushima, and Tannenberg. Oh, that one's easy. Tsushima is the Russo-Japanese War. Tannenberg is the disastrous battle for the Russians on the Eastern Front in World War I. So that is the Russian Empire. Yarmouk, Manzikert, Haram. 11. I have no idea on this one. Not an absolute clue. Umayyad Caliphate? Nope. All right. Trafalgar, Leipzig, Waterloo. That's Napoleon. That's the French Empire. Stirling Bridge, Bannockburn, Orleans. That's England. England loses Stirling and Bannockburn to the Scots. Orleans to the French. Kingdom of England. Ankara, Lepanto, and Vienna. So Vienna 1683, that is the one that we sing about. The winged hussars arrived. That's got to be the Ottoman Empire. Stalingrad, Moscow, Berlin. That's the Germans. That's Nazi Germany. How's it going to show up on here, though? Nazi Germany. There we go. Marathon, Salamis, Gaugamela. I feel like, I know Marathon. That's the Persians against the Greeks, correct? It's got to be the Persian Empire. Yep. Nordlingen, Kugebe. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. And Poltava. It's got to be the Swedish Empire, right? Yep. Midway, Okinawa, West Hunan. Those are pretty clear. Those are definitely the Japanese Empire. Where's it going to show up? Empire of Japan. Crécy, Poitiers, Agincourt. These are all wars of the 100 Years' War. This is all... Crécy was very famously won by the forces of Edward III against the French. Same with Poitiers. Agincourt, Henry V, all over the Kingdom of France. Little Bighorn, Guam, and then I guess that's a battle of Vietnam. So these are the United States. Yes, we do regularly lose battles. Legnano, Wittstock, Austerlitz. Austerlitz is Napoleon's great victory over Austrians and Russians. I guess we're going to say the Holy Roman Empire because the Emperor of Austria was also Holy Roman Emperor at that point. San Juan Hill, that's the Spanish. We talked about that one earlier. Yep. Dunbar, Falkirk, Neville's Cross. This is the Scots. Kingdom of Scotland. Cuzco, 1533. Maricala. It's got to be the Incans. Kiev, 1941. This is the Soviet Union. Teutoburg Forest. That's clearly the Roman Empire. That's one of their all-time great defeats. San Jacinto, Buena Vista, Cerro Gordo. So the first one is the Texas War for Independence. That is where the war comes to an end. Buena Vista and Cerro Gordo are both in the Mexican-American War. That's Mexico. Yorktown, Izan, Luana, and Singapore. The British. Tours. This is the Caliphate. There we go. And so it was the Byzantine Empire was the one that I missed. All right. I still did better than average. I'll take it. All right, we're going to mix presidents and war on this one. Can you name these U.S. presidents who served in the military? Now, this one is probably going to be pretty easy, so I want to make it a little more challenging, and I want to talk specifically not only about who they are, but what their military service was. So at least we can get some education out of all of this. The vast majority of U.S. presidents have served in the military. It's actually been in the 20th century and now the 21st century that's become less of a common thing. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton did not serve in the military. Joe Biden didn't serve in the military. So actually, recently, it's very unusual. Used to be a lot more common. All right, let's dive into this one. Obviously, that's Eisenhower. No combat experience. I guess it would help if I spelled his name right. Never had any combat experience. World War I, he is on he's stateside, doing training and things like that. Never serves in the Western Front. And of course, in World War II, is an overall commander, a theater commander. He's not really on the front lines. John F. Kennedy, definitely combat experience. He's a Lieutenant JG in command of PT-109, which is a small torpedo boat serving in the Pacific, and they get rammed by a Japanese destroyer, splits the boat in half. He drags a guy by his teeth, swims with a bad back. George Washington served in the French and Indian War, kind of started the French and Indian War, and then, of course, the Revolution. That is Franklin Pierce, who was a brigadier general during the Mexican-American War. Theodore Roosevelt resigns as governor of New York to go serve in the Spanish-American War, leads what he calls the Rough Riders. You see it says USV for U.S. Volunteers. He raises a volunteer regiment and takes it to the front lines. Our last guy in the Army to serve on the front lines was Harry Truman, who was in, I think it was the 35th Division, which was a Missouri and Kansas National Guard unit. He's an artillery captain, field artillery, serves on the front lines, and was the last time that any of our presidents were on the ground in the Army fighting. That is William Henry Harrison. Serves in the War of 1812, 1848. He's also serving as a general. That is Chester Arthur, who did not see combat, but I believe had kind of an administrative appointment as an officer in the Civil War. William McKinley, who we see here, is one of the few presidents who was an enlisted man, at least for a time, in the Civil War. He's a commissary sergeant at the Battle of Antietam. We did a video about that. Eventually rises to a brevet major. Does get a battlefield commission after Antietam. Ronald Reagan was in the Army during World War II. Narrates a lot of the kind of propaganda films made by the U.S. government, including one that we've watched on here that talks about, that shows a speech by General Patton. So this is James Garfield, who did have a field commission, was a general, probably would have ended up commanding a corps or an army if he hadn't gotten elected to Congress in the middle of the American Civil War. Leads troops in Kentucky, serves for a while on staff. That is Benjamin Harrison, who also was a general in the Civil War. George W. Bush did not see combat, but was that's George H.W. Bush. He did have combat experience. Youngest Navy pilot shot down in World War II, nearly eaten by cannibals. And there's actually video of him being pulled from the water onto a submarine. Gerald Ford served in the Navy, was on a aircraft carrier that was attacked and quite involved in combat. He definitely saw a lot of combat. That's Millard Fillmore. I actually don't know anything about his military experience, except that he looks like Alec Baldwin. Andrew Jackson, of course, famously wins the Battle of New Orleans in January 1815. That catapults him to superstardom. He also is the last U.S. president who was a veteran of the Revolutionary War. Had a scar on his face from a British soldier hitting him with a sword. Zachary Taylor is probably one of the heroes of the Mexican-American War. Takes Mexico City. Rutherford B. Hayes was in command of the 23rd Ohio, which had two presidents, because that was also the unit that William McKinley was in. Almost had three. It could have had three presidents, because the original commanding officer of the 23rd Ohio was William Rosecrans. Rosecrans was the colonel. Rutherford B. Hayes was the lieutenant colonel. At the time, William McKinley was a commissary sergeant. And Rosecrans was considered by Abraham Lincoln as his running mate in 1864, and had he chose him, he would have become president. Richard Nixon, also a Navy officer during the Second World War, and that, without the beard, is Ulysses S. Grant, who was absolutely another war hero of the Mexican War. All right, let's find something difficult. This one looks like it could be a little more challenging, because I know a good fair bit about World War II, but not like a lot of you do. And I know, like my friend JD from the History Underground, he would know every one of these without any problem. I should know most of them, but maybe not as quickly as you all will. We've got 29 of them. We've got 7 minutes to do this. Let's go. German troops invade blank. Britain and France declare war on Germany. That one's easy. That's Poland. Soviet Union invades. Would that also be Poland, or is that going to be Finland? Yeah. Winston Churchill replaces Neville Chamberlain, who was from Birmingham. The desperate evacuation of over 300,000 Allied troops. That's got to be Dunkirk. So far, so good. Hitler triumphantly tours. It's got to be Paris. The Battle of blank begins. That's Britain. The Tripartite Pact is signed between signed in Berlin by Germany, Japan, and Italy. Okay, so far so good. Not too bad. General Rommel, overrated. British capture of U-110 gives them access to the Enigma machine. After a long pursuit, the blank, a massive German battleship, is... Oh, yeah, that's Bismarck. Named after a medieval German ruler, Operation Oh, it's named after Frederick Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa. Germany begins the 872-day-long siege of Leningrad. Most people talk about Stalingrad. We don't talk a lot about the siege of Leningrad, mostly because it was civilians involved in the dying there. A date which will live in infamy. Actually, these are pretty easy. I thought this would be a little harder. SS leader Heydrich holds the Wannsee Conference to coordinate the final solution of the Jewish question. And if you want to go and see the spot where he was assassinated, join us on our tour. We're doing a group tour, and we've got, I think, 9 spots left on the group tour. We're going to be going to Berlin. We're going to Dresden, Prague, Bratislava, Vienna. It's going to be a lot of fun. 4 countries, super fun, lots of history. Check it out. The link has been in the description of every video. Anyway, back to this. 78,000 U.S. and Filipino troops begin this 65-mile Bataan death march, right? Oh, wait, I got to go back up here. Yep. Okay. All right. I'm doing better than I thought I would on this one. Battle of June 4th. That's midway. Germany begins its attack on the Soviet city of Blank, which becomes one of the bloodiest battles in the history of warfare. That is Stalingrad. U.S. and British airborne divisions make the first landings on the island of... Is that Crete? No. Oh, no. What am I thinking? Crete. This is Sicily. General Eisenhower becomes Supreme Allied Commander in Europe. A lot of people get that wrong. A lot of people think that Eisenhower was Supreme Allied Commander and therefore he was the highest ranking officer of World War II anywhere. He's not. He wasn't even the highest ranking officer in the U.S. Army. He was outranked by George C. Marshall, who was Chief of Staff, and by General MacArthur, who was in the Pacific. He was just Supreme Allied Commander of the Supreme Commander Allied Expeditionary Forces in Europe. D-Day, Omaha, Utah, Gold, Sword, and Juneau. Haven't been to Juneau Beach yet. Germany launches the first U-2. Wait, U-2? What am I thinking of? First blank rocket attacks. 3,000 were used on London and Antwerp. Why am I drawing... Oh, V2. What am I saying U2 for? I'm thinking of the band. Sleight of hand and twist of fate. On a bed of nails, she makes me wait. Okay, this is the Battle of the Bulge. Soviets liberate Auschwitz. Photograph captures the iconic image of the American flag being raised on Iwo Jima, Mount Suribachi, if you want, would be correct also. Italian partisans capture and kill Mussolini. It actually, a lot of people who don't study World War II too deeply don't realize that Mussolini had actually been overthrown much earlier than this. And then he kind of sets up kind of a guerrilla warfare, so to speak, because the Italians actually oust him in 1944, and he gets help from his buddy Hitler and ends up being captured in northern Italy. As the Soviets close in, he does his thing. Actually, I thought this would be way harder. United States drops an atomic bomb on Hiroshima. Japan formally surrenders on board the American battleship USS Missouri, which you can see in Pearl Harbor. War crimes trials for prominent Nazi members begins in Nuremberg. Okay, cool. Now we got to find something really hard. All right, this one is going to give us a list of wars, and we have to decide if the number of years that are listed, if the actual war was longer or shorter than that. Some of these I'm definitely going to miss. American Revolution, that one's actually pretty easy. So it begins in 1775. It officially ends in 1783, so it was 8 years long. It was definitely shorter than that. Iraq War. It depends, I guess, on how you define Iraq War, because you have the insurgency afterwards. So that could go either way. I'm tempted to say longer, but I'm going to say shorter. Okay, 8 years, they're saying. All right, so yeah, I get that. 100 Years' War was actually like 114 or 116 years. So I'm going to say longer than 100 years. Yeah, 116. World War II, 5 years. So no, started in 1939. Officially, we say September 1st, 1939, the invasion of Poland. But you could make a somewhat of a decent argument, I think, that you can count the wars in East Asia, though those were really just between Japan and another country. You know, it wasn't a bunch of countries involved. I guess the Soviets were kind of involved. But it's definitely longer either way. 6 years. The Great Turkish War, I don't even know what that is. Some of you definitely do, and you're really upset with me right now, but I'm going to say shorter. No, it was 16 years. American Civil War was definitely 4 years long. The Iran-Iraq War was not 16. I think it was more like 8 years, because that was in the 80s. Yeah. Persian Gulf War, 3 years. No, that was like more like 3 months. 6 months, okay. Oh yeah, I guess if you're counting the invasion of Kuwait up through when Kuwait was liberated, that makes sense. Crimean War, that was in the 1850s. That was definitely not 15 years long. 3 years. World War I was not 13 years long. That was 1914 to 1918, so that one's shorter. Mexican-American War was like 2 years, so that's shorter. French and Indian War, that starts in what, 1454, 55? 6 years? I think that's... I want to say it's 5 years long, so I'm going to say it's shorter. Oh, it was 9 years. All right, so yeah, it goes to 1460. So 17, what am I saying, 14? 1754 to 1763, I think probably. War of 1812 was actually 2 years long, so that was longer. 3 years. Okay, maybe. It ends in January, or actually ends in December of 1814. So it was longer than 2 years, less than 3. Spanish Civil War. I don't think it lasted that long. I think it's shorter. 3 years. In the Vietnam War, depends on when you say it began. Because if you say it began in 1954, then it was certainly longer. But the U.S. involvement isn't that long. I'm still going to say longer. 20 years. Okay, yeah, so they're saying that. All right, 80%. So I missed Iraq, which I lived through. You'd think I'd have gotten that one. Great Turkish War, I still don't know when that happened. And the French and Indian War, I should have known. But I just was not thinking on that one. Okay, this is going to be our last one. This is a history of war, and it says, can you pick the wars that took place during these centuries? There's 40. We have 8 minutes. Go. Okay, the 2000s. Wow, there's so many of these on here. So obviously 2000 wars. We have, I wish we could narrow some of the... Can we go to the next one and come back to that? No, I guess we can't. Wow, there's a bunch. Gaza, NATO war in Afghanistan, Syrian civil war, yeah. What else do we have? Russia, Georgia, yeah. Libyan civil war, yeah. A couple of these I don't know what they are. Second Iraq war. Gulf War. No, that was in the 90s. What am I doing? That was dumb. What else are we looking for here? Mexican drug war? Okay, yeah, 1900s. Here we go. This should be easy enough. First World War. Gulf War. Is that the Great Turkish War? No. Okay. Korean War, yes. Russian Civil War. Russo-Japanese War. Soviet War in Afghanistan. We got 2 more. Second World War, Vietnam. All right, 1800s, American Civil War, Anglo-Zulu War, Black Hawk War, Abraham Lincoln was in that one, Crimean War, Franco-Prussian, that's 1870-71, Napoleonic Wars, Opium Wars, Spanish-American War. Oh, Yom Kippur was in the 1900s as well. I missed that one. There's one more in the 1800s. I have no idea what the Beaver Wars are, so I'll try that. 1700s, American Revolution. King Philip's was 1600s. 7 Years' War. Was the War of Austrian Succession then? Yeah. As was the War of Spanish Succession. Darfur? No. Okay. 1600s. Great Northern War. No, that was the 1500s. French Wars. No, that was 1500s. Beaver Wars? Yeah. King Philip's War? Yes. 30 Years' War. All right, 1500s. Wow. All right, not so good for me here. French Wars of Religion. Incan Civil War. Yeah, that had to be 1500s. Great Northern War. No. That was 1800s then, was it? No, I have no idea. Wow. Okay. Dang. I got 80, which is better than most people did, but okay. Let me know which ones I got wrong and what I should have been saying for those. All right, we're going to wrap it up right there. I did way better than I expected to when I started out doing this series of quizzes. I'm sure there are much more difficult ones on there, so if there's one you'd like me to try down the road, we're going to get back to some other types of videos tomorrow, but we'll do some more of these down the road. Let me know which ones I should take a look at. Thanks for watching.